Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man. He'll unpack wisdom and insights from a cross-section of top quality performers in business, media, sports, entertainment, and lifestyle to uncover key elements to help you live your best audacious life ever. So without further ado, here is the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to this special edition of the Audacious Living Podcast, where our continued goal is to help you live your best audacious life ever. We're coming to you today on International Women's Day, a day that's recognized around the world where the rights of women are celebrated, accomplishments that are made are recognized and highlighted. We're doing our part here on the podcast by profiling a very special individual. Her name is Steph Nash, a very good friend of mine. And what makes Steph special is she has a warrior spirit that just doesn't quit. 5 years ago, Steph was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a fatal form of brain cancer. The percentage of those that survive past the first year is quite low, and it does not have a cure. Now, none of those things mattered to Steph. She knew right away when the doctors told her what was going on with her. She knew right away that she had to fight and she was not going to give up. And to see where she is at 5 years later and she's still going strong, it's absolutely remarkable. When I talk about being an inspiration, she certainly is. She is a beacon of hope to so many people, and I'm really, really excited that we had some time to chat with Steph here on the podcast. I think it's one that all of you will enjoy and take away from. Like I said, inspirational, is a whole other level. We talk about being bold and being audacious. Man, Steph has blown that out of the water big time, and I couldn't be any more proud of her. So, without further ado, I'm gonna stop talking. We've set the stage here quite nicely, and give you an opportunity to hear from my girl Steph. Enjoy. International Women's Day is a civic awareness movement that celebrates the rights of women while profiling and highlighting their remarkable achievements. The theme for 2021 is Choose to Challenge, and the journey that Steph Nash has been on the last 5 years is an embodiment of just that. Steph received a grim diagnosis in 2016 that she had one of the deadliest forms of brain cancer called glioblastoma. Sadly, only 25% of patients survive more than 1 year after receiving treatment. Steph knew from the onset that wasn't going to be her reality, and the fight began. While the journey hasn't been the easiest one, Steph's fighting spirit and warrior mindset have inspired countless people as she refuses to give up, while at the same time creating awareness about this deadly disease and being a beacon of hope to so many. My girl Steph is up next on the Audacious Living Podcast. You can hear, right?
Oh, I'm going to turn up my volume. Yeah. Is that good? Can you hear me?
That's awesome.
Awesome, Dawson.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
I know, it's been so long.
Man.
I was just telling Rich, I think the last time that we probably saw each other, because when I got diagnosed, I was still doing Underground Express, remember?
Yes, you were.
Just for the first year of my diagnosis and a little bit after.
So you guys were doing packing in I don't know how many episodes that you.
Oh yeah, because we knew because you knew, Boogie knew, but nobody else knew that I had been diagnosed with brain cancer. Yes. We didn't let anyone know that for so long. Our closest friends and family knew, but in terms of outside, for media and stuff like that, only you and Boogie knew. That was it.
Wow.
And we were still actually doing all the episodes. We packed in so many.
You guys are killing it. In fact, and you have to remember this, the Wednesday night lineup was Underground Express and Down with the Kings.
With the Kings, yep.
And I will tell you, I know, and you may not believe, you guys were putting in so much work. I was like, I got to come with it because these guys are like, and I almost felt like it's a Wednesday, like, you know, we are the Wednesday night crew. We are bringing it. And y'all made me inspire me to keep going, man. So it was nice.
Thank you.
It was such a nice little run. I love what you guys, I mean, you guys are like a winning combination. You and Boogie were just killing it. So
I know, it was crazy because he was the one, like, remember I had, well, I still did the underground, like I did the Underground Express, but I also had my own stuff. And I was doing stuff with Sprox, doing the interviews and stuff like that. So I had that going, plus my full-time job at the time, which was with working with the government. I was doing all of that, and then everything came crashing down. But we still managed to do, like I said, we packed in as much as we could.
I remember Boogie one time telling me how you were so insistent that you wanted to keep going and keep going. Yep. And I want to actually, I want to start there because at the beginning of the diagnosis, right? Everything is brand new. It's, I can imagine, and maybe we'll talk about sort of what that initial shock does, if you will. But yet you wanted to keep going. Was that to help? Is that to limit any sort of change in your life, or what was really going on at that time? Why you wanted to keep plugging and working away the way you did?
Well, I remember when everything happened, when everything came crashing down. It was Father's Day, 2016 of June. I was getting ready to go to the Sprox's studio to finish off the Strange Fruit True Grit album and finish off a couple of songs, and one of the songs was Strange Fruit, which was very emotional song for me. If I tell people, always listen to the words, and I give big thanks to OC, because as you know, that I was working on the album. I had won a grant from the Arts Council in Toronto to do the album, and I was about 92% finished that album when everything happened. So I was heading out to the studio, to Sprox's studio, to finish up on, I think we had 3 or 4 more songs to do. Heading out to the studio, and I just remember going to get ready. I was trying to brush my hair, and I couldn't manipulate the hand brush, as I told you before, and I didn't understand what was going on. And then I started brushing my eye, and it was a metal brush, and I was like, this is not right, something's wrong. And I went to try to walk, and I couldn't take, like, going down the stairs, my bedroom stairs, I couldn't take one step. Couldn't do the regular step. I had to do one step at a time. Yep. So I made it to the main floor, and I called 911, and I said, I think you need to come. I thought I was home alone, but I wasn't. My older son, Xavier, was in the basement, but I didn't know that. Right. And I called 911, and I was panicking, and I said, you need to come quick. I think I'm having a stroke. And as I said that, that's when Xavier came from upstairs, and he said, Mom, you're not having a stroke. I'm here with you. And he took over the call, the ambulance call. I was hyperventilating. I didn't know what was going on. And then I couldn't remember my address. I couldn't even tell them my name. So then I knew something was really happening. Yep. I never thought in a million years. When I was rushed to Ajax Pickering Hospital, and within half an hour, I was feeling great. And I just remember the doctor coming in, asking my husband to have his friend leave. He was he was literally behind the curtain. And I just remember the doctor saying that we're transferring you by ambulance to Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto. You have a massive tumor in your brain, and there's nothing we can do for you. And I was just like, I look at this for this day, and I just remember my husband breaking down. He was crying. His friend was there, and then I heard him getting further and further away, and I realized that I was the only one in the hospital room. Everyone had left me because everybody was in shock. Right. And I could hear Rich getting further away. He was crying. I could hear him calling people. And then they came back. And then by that time, when they came back in the room, that's when I was transported. They put on the sirens, and I was transported with him to Sunnybrook Hospital. And that night, that's when a whole team of doctors, a lot of people have come to see me. Boogie came to see me that night. We didn't know for sure what it was exactly, other than I had a mass in my brain. And some people were thinking I was having an aneurysm. People didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand what was going on. And then I just remember everyone being asked to step outside of my room, except for my husband, like Rich, my mother-in-law, my sister. But people were still kind of outside of the room, but they could hear what was going on. And that's when I remember Dr. DaCosta, who is a well-known brain surgeon at Sunnybrook, telling me that they didn't even know if they would be able to do a biopsy. They were going to try, but the mass was, from what they could see when they did the MRI, it was so big. It was the size of an orange in my head, my little head. And I just remember them saying they were going to try to do a biopsy to determine my life expectancy. And right then and there, I was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I don't care what you tell me. I'm not going anywhere. So I ended up having surgery. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, waiting for a surgeon to be able to do the surgery. And Dr. DaCosta, I remember he had said to me, every day I would get prepped. They were like, no eating, because you're going to go for surgery in the morning. But then my surgery would get postponed. So I was in the hospital at Sunnybrook, right outside the nurses' station. There was it was for like emergency. There was only 4 patients beds there, and I was one of them. I must have seen, within that time that I was in that hospital for 2 weeks, I saw about 4 to 5 different patients come and go from that room. One of them coded when I was there. So that was the first time I was kind of fearful, because I was like, wow, this guy just coded right in front of me. And I didn't know what kind of brain cancer he has, because there's different types of brain tumors and brain cancer. But when that happened, I was like, okay, I need to go on. So I asked to take a weekend pass, and they were kind of hesitant to do that, but they did. I had a weekend pass. I literally left at, I think it was 10 o'clock at night on the Friday. And then I had to be back by 10 o'clock in the evening on the Sunday. So I did that, and the same thing happened. I was prepped for surgery again on the Monday. Nothing happened. So I was like, oh, here we go again. It's going to be another. So it kind of went on. And then all of a sudden, when the day that I wasn't ready, next thing I know, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was told that I was going for surgery. And then I was like, wow, they found a surgeon to actually do my surgery, which was Dr. DaCosta. He was willing to take that chance. They removed 92% of the glioblastoma tumor. But within 3 months, my tumor continued to grow. So a lot of people don't know much about glioblastoma. And I always say people need to I recommend that you look it up, because I always get asked, oh, you're doing well, you must be in remission. There is no such thing as remission for glioblastoma, which you already know, because I know you already looked at the stats. People ask me, how I got this far? Because the average life expectancy without surgery and without treatment is less than 3 months. With surgery and chemo, like radiation treatment, all that stuff, it's 9 to 14 months. So I'm here now, still fighting. I've been through so much. It's been exactly, as of this month, 4 years and 7 months fighting glioblastoma brain cancer.
I tell you, Steph, and I've told you many times, I so much love the journey that you're on. I love the fact that you continue to fight. Listen, I've always been one of your biggest cheerleaders. Let's go, keep going, keep going. And I think what you're doing is amazing and inspiring on so many levels. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you and just chat and get caught up with you. Certainly, I'm always, send messages back and forth, but the opportunity to talk a bit is amazing. So I want to sort of go back a little bit, because I don't think people totally recognize, this is like a whirlwind that you're on. Like, it's just one thing after another, coming from you have this to, one occurrence, one after the next. What's going through your mind, Steph, as you're sort of going through this very rapid journey of one thing to the next? What's the thoughts you're dealing with?
There's been so much for this journey. Like as you know, I've become an advocate, because in Canada, and I'm trying to be politically correct in Canada in terms of funding. Ontario, especially, a lot of people didn't know this. Even people that now I know that have been diagnosed with this in Canada and in Ontario, a lot of the people that I had become close with because of this has since passed. Everyone asks me, why am I still here? What am I doing to still keep here? Because as we know, the life expectancy is very grim. I even lost, I became close with Marco Polo's dad, Frank. He was diagnosed with it way after me. And I was at their house a few times for dinner. We talked about different things that you could try. And a lot of people didn't know that in Ontario, cancer treatments for brain cancer are not covered by OHIP. That was the biggest shock to me. I had to actually, I've been on 3 different chemos now. So the first chemo, the standard chemo, is Temodar. Temomyoxine is the original name, but no one can ever say it. I can't even say it. So you just say Temodar. That treatment, and this was back in 2016, for a month of chemo, and it's pill form. You can't do like IV for other, like you do for other treatments, because it can't pass the blood-brain barrier. Okay. So, and I know you know that because we had talked about that too. And it cost $4,200 per month, and not covered by OHIP. Wow. And that speaks volumes. Like, I know people that have breast cancer, it's covered. So to me, and I used to get really angry because I'm like, what, do your breasts more important than your brain? Like, this is your brain. Right. So I did that treatment. So I did when I first was diagnosed, I did, it was 6 weeks straight of chemo and radiation back to back. And that I didn't realize that, because a lot of people I know said, I would never do radiation. I didn't have that chance to even think about it. All I know is that this is what happened. I was rushed to the hospital, and that's where my journey started. And I just wanted to make sure that I had every opportunity to survive this. And as I talked to you before, at that time in 2016, both my sons, Xavier and Darius, were graduating. Darius was graduating from grade 9. He was graduating. Sorry, my memory sometimes, my short-term memory and my long-term memory mix up. He was graduating, and Xavier was graduating from grade 12. He had got a partial scholarship to Ryerson, and won a lot of awards. And Darius had graduated, and he graduated with honors, basketball award, all that. You know, he's a big basketball fan, like yourself. And I just remember my whole thing was, I kept saying when they said, you know, the average life expectancy is this, I said, I don't want to know the average life. Don't talk about it. They said, and everybody's tumor is different. So everybody wanted to know what the doctors thought my average life expectancy would be, not just the medium. And I didn't want to know. So my mother-in-law, Rich, and my sister both said, well, you can leave the room and we'll find out. And I said, but then I'll see your faces. So for a good year, I didn't want to know that. I didn't know. I didn't even look in my chart, because at Sunnybrook, you have access to my chart. It tells everything. Mm-hmm. When I finally, that end of that year, I looked in my chart, and then I seen what they said. They said, based on, because like I said, the tumor was the size of an orange in my head. And even though they took 90% of that tumor out, within 3 months of chemo and radiation, my tumor continued to grow. Right. So it was an up and down battle. So initially the doctors had told me, it was in, I think it was October. No, it was, it was August, because I remember they had told me that they knew that it had continued to grow, even though they were still giving me the chemo. But they knew that even after that 3rd month, it was still continuing to grow. There was not much that they could do. They said they would look at some other stuff. And I just remember thinking, like, they told me, you failed it. And I changed that around. And I said, I didn't fail it. I did nothing wrong. It failed me. And that's when I was like, I'm going to keep fighting. I don't care what anyone says. I missed the most important thing. My son's their graduations back to back.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to keep going. And I started to learn a lot about this disease, besides the fact, like I said, it was not covered. So $4,200 a month.
Huge.
for the treatments. And I did 3 months of that. And it failed me. So then they told me that I had a lot of brain swelling. And that's when, like, you saw me. A lot of people didn't see me during that time, except for you, Boogie, and my family.
Yeah.
Nobody realized that the dexamethasone, I call it the devil's tic tac. That's the steroid that I was on.
Right.
And I had a lot of people end up getting that swelling and gain a lot of weight from the dexamethasone. But my doctors, my whole team, I have a team at Sunnybrook of all different types of doctors. And they said they never seen someone have such a bad reaction as I did. So within, I think it was 4 or 5 months of being on the dexamethasone, I went up to 230 pounds.
Wow.
And I'm only 5'1".
Yeah.
So that was a lot. Like, I can remember me and my husband and I were just talking with my brother-in-law, because they just live a couple streets over from us. And they said, I had forgot about this. They had said, do you remember there was a time where we had to put the kitchen chairs, line them up right outside to where I could walk, and they could help me walk. Because also too, I was in a lot of pain, right? To help me walk, to guide.
Yep.
Because I didn't have ski poles or anything to help me, and they would do that. And I said, I completely forgot about that. That was like totally, I don't remember that. And at that point, my husband was saying he thought for sure I wasn't going to make it. And then all of a sudden things started to change. And I just started, like, I guess it was the whole thing, not giving up. I'm not going to give up. And I know that kind of sounds cliche because people say it all the time, but I was like, no, I'm going to make another I missed their milestones. I'm going to make other milestones. And then I had a little bit of a breakdown last year because with my other son, with Darius now graduating from high school, with awards, got into the University of Toronto.
Yeah.
Like that. That's like he applied for so many different universities, got into all of them, but he wanted Toronto, and then not being able to even have that because now with the COVID.
Right.
So again, another milestone, missed that. And I was just like, okay, now I have to figure out and focus on something else. What else can I look forward to go to seeing what I can do next with this? Because there's not really a lot of help. And the one thing I really want to say too, is in Canada, there's no cure, as we know, for glioblastoma. But in Canada, we only had one foundation for a charity, and it was the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada. And they do great stuff, but they focus mostly on brain tumors. And brain tumors and brain cancer, completely different. And I don't think people understand that.
That's actually, I didn't.
They don't understand that. So now I just want to say they just rebranded. Brain Matters Charity was a brand new charity that came out just recently last year, but now they're actually in the process. It's actually on a lot of their paperwork it's done, but they'll do they're doing a launch I think next month. They just got approval. They're the first brain cancer. They're called Brain Cancer Canada now. That's what their name is now. So you'll have the Brain Tumor Foundation. They are good for what they do, brain tumors. But brain tumors and brain cancer, it tells you right there, it's two different things, right? So I am so happy and I'm thankful, and they work with me. We bounce off ideas, and they actually just launched last month. And now they are the first in Canada, Brain Cancer Canada. So that is important because that will allow funding.
Yes.
Because there is no funding, right? So now we have a separate, entity to focus on treatments, because like I said before, there's been in Canada, at least since 2004, there's been no new treatments for brain cancer. Right. And that speaks volumes when you think about that, right? So to have a foundation that is 100% volunteer, all the funding for treatments, 100% So that's the new, I always tell everybody, please, please, please support Brain Cancer Canada. That's a brand new, they just, like I said, they just relaunched their design on their website and everything because and all their funding is going for brain cancer.
I love the way that you've become such an incredible advocate, Steph. You have used your voice, your platform loud and strong, and have been continuously and consistent, and I absolutely love that. You have not allowed, you talk about this fight, and you've not allowed it to even slow you down for a moment. I mean, without question, I know that you've had different challenges throughout, but the way you've continued, and now that you're using it not just to talk to your story, but the story of the others that are impacted by this, it's just incredible, Steph.
Yeah, like if they say it's rare, it's no longer rare. Like just in Canada alone, the amount of people that contact me through social media, asking me for my email, and then all over the world. I can't even keep up. Like I have to take a break sometimes because I think people don't realize the ones that are always emailing me, messaging me through social media platforms, they don't even understand and realize that it's a lot of work for me to get up because I still do physio. Yeah. I still do occupational therapy because part of it is, so my tumor's on the left side of my brain, but everything affects my right side. So I lost my ability to, and it didn't happen right away because in the beginning when I was first diagnosed, remember, I was still running because I was a marathon runner, right?
Yeah.
But then after I wasn't able to do that anymore because it caused more brain swelling, the jumping down. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So then I started the walking. So you see me all the time. Yes. I walk anywhere. So during the week, I walk anywhere from 7 to 10 kilometers. And I'm doing pretty good walking. Like I just did a walk, I think it was yesterday, and I did 7 kilometers and I did it in a little, an hour and I think 5 minutes. So my speed is picking up for walking. But I did try recently to run again. And I didn't know where I was. Right. I didn't understand what was going on. I couldn't speak. Right. It's kind of like a bit of aphasia. And then when I went back to the hospital, they said, yeah, you're not supposed to be running. Like you have to understand, you still have a piece of tumor in your brain, number one, and you have the most deadliest brain cancer out there, glioblastoma. Like, what are you doing? You didn't go this far, to go backwards. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Put down stuff.
Yeah. But then I do, and I said, I do the advocate part, but I think that people don't understand, like all over the world, like right now, if I was to go into my inbox right now, because I can't answer everybody, there's like 15 messages right now in both my inbox on Instagram and Twitter, people asking me from all over the world. My mom just got diagnosed. My dad just got diagnosed. What did you do to get this far? And I tell people, and some people actually are quite, I'm trying to think of a nice word to use. Like they'll ask for help. And then when I tell what I'm doing, like one of the things that I do is I have a naturopathic doctor and I also have a cannabis doctor. And I've had my naturopath doctor and my cannabis doctor since October of 2016. After I was told that the standard treatment failed me, I was like, well, I have nothing to lose. Yeah. And you know me, like I wasn't really big on cannabis before, especially because prior to like working where I worked for the government, like with the Attorney General, I was so against it. Right. And then I was like, I changed my tune, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I can to get through this. And I started doing that. And it's funny how some people will judge. Like I get people sending me stuff telling me that you're a mom. How dare you? What kind of example are you setting using cannabis? And it's just like, I used to get into arguments with them. I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not where I know what's working for me. I know it's helping me for everything, even for the pain. Like I never had pain at all. Like when I first got diagnosed, like I did things that I didn't know or understand at the time. Like I remember going on break with a friend of mine when I was working full time, and I didn't know how to put my keys in the car door. And I little things like that. And then I did things like I put my arm in the oven deliberately, almost robotically, in the oven. And it was like, I think it was like 11:30 at night, almost midnight. And I did it, and I knew I did it. and I didn't understand why. And I just remember Richard waking up in the middle of the night, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're oozing. Like, what's going on?" And it was all over my arm.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "I baked muffins." And he's like, "Oh." So when he got up in the morning, he didn't even think. He was like, "Well, where's the muffins?" I said, "I ate them." And I knew I lied, and I don't eat stuff like that. I
Right.
did for the boys. And he's like, "Well, where is everything?" And it didn't even dawn on him.
Right.
And I said, "I ate them all." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So little things like that were happening. Even at work, people said they noticed that. As you know, I'm like one of the 10% population that is completely, truly 100% ambidextrous.
Right.
So I always, like, even in court, I would always have both pens going. I couldn't even figure out how to use the pen, even though I could use both hands. I'm like, something's not right, like little things. And I knew stuff, but I didn't say anything to anybody. And then all hell broke loose, I guess. And that's when I found out what I had, when they finally came and told us. Yeah. And my mindset from the beginning, like, I remember one of the first people that came to visit me was Boogie. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "You're going to beat this. You're such a strong-willed, minded person." I said, "You're damn right I'm going to beat it." But I just want to let people know that with that as well, there's been other things because of that, which people, they don't tell you this when you get diagnosed with brain cancer. And I don't know if it's because I'm one of the ones that have lived longer than what they had told me I would be. But 2 years ago, as a result of all the different types of chemo, like I was on Temodar, I was on Avastin, and then my last chemo was Lumistine. And I just remember them saying that this is the last chance. Like, what if you're going to do stuff, this is the last chance. And I just remember they never told me, being on chemo for so long, the other health effects that come with it. Yeah, so 2 years ago, I ended up, and I had chickenpox as a child. Yeah. I ended up with chickenpox and shingles so bad. And I was on vacation when it happened. Like, I knew something was wrong. I wanted to, my friends had taken me to Jamaica. Yeah. They said, you deserve to go on a trip. Like, you've been through so much. Sure. And I was like, yeah, that was like on the Wednesday. And on the Thursday, I said, I felt like I had a pinched nerve on my shoulder at the top. Yeah. So I went and I couldn't get in to see my physiotherapist. So I went to my husband's, what do you call it? Acupuncture doctor, and I forget the other doctor's name. So I said, "Well, can you do some acupuncture? Can you see, like, if there's something?" Because I didn't want to be adjusted. Chiropractor, that's what it is. I didn't want to be adjusted. And he said, "Oh, we can just do other stuff." So sure. He did 2 treatments like that. And then I was still feeling like not completely right. And my girlfriends were like, "You'll be fine. You're going to be in Jamaica. You're going to be having fun. You can drink some, nice drinks, and, just have fun." Sure. By the time we were in the airplane, just coming out of the bus, we got onto the bus. And then I noticed I had from the left side, from the fingers all the way to the back of my shoulder, it was all water blisters. So I thought maybe, because they gave me Benadryl to kind of calm me down. Yes. And I was like, I never had Benadryl before. So we thought there's an allergic reaction to Benadryl. Right. And then within the night, like that, by that nighttime, it turned into lesions. And I remember that next day, that was the worst pain that I've ever had through everything. Brain surgery, all the stuff, all the falls I've had because of this, that pain to have that caused nerve damage. And I still have the nerve damage to this day. Like, the scars are still there. The lesions are obviously gone, but the amount of nerve damage that it caused, and they said there's nothing that can be done. So I just kind of deal with it. But I just remember, like, those things they don't tell you that happen. And as a result of everything that I've gone through, early last year, I was diagnosed with Raynaud's disease. It's a part of the lupus family. So I thought, oh, well, my younger brother has lupus. He was misdiagnosed. They didn't find out what it was until he was probably in his mid teens, after he lost some of his extremities because of it, right? So then we thought, well, maybe that. So I was tested for lupus and never came back that I had lupus. But they said that the reason why all this stuff has happened is I ended up with chemo-induced Raynaud's disease. So a lot of people don't realize when you're on chemo that long, especially the type of chemo that I was on, it causes all the other things, right? So there's that I've been going through. And
it's like another layer
what,
to add, right? Just another layer, and it's just one more battle that you overcome, and it's after the next. Steph, what I want to really ask you about is the relationship with your family and what that's done. I would imagine your husband, your son brings everyone closer together to support you, and also appreciation for the days that you have, because again, you were told you only have this amount of time. You far exceeded that, and so every day has been a blessing. And I'd imagine that's done something to bring your family closer together. What if you could talk about that?
It has in a lot of ways, but there's also there's some disadvantages of that. Like for my husband, he's become my caregiver. It's not, the relationship has completely changed. And I think anybody that in that position, it's hard. Like we've had some struggles, ups and downs, going through this. Like it's hard, even with the boys, like they forget, and I forget. And that sometimes, like I repeat myself a lot. And that's part of having brain cancer. And it gets frustrating for them. And sometimes, we've ended up in disagreements, even with my son, except for Darius. Darius is like the mellow guy. Like he's like the peacemaker. Like he'll be like, he'll come between my husband, myself, and the other one, which is Xavier. And he'll be like, he's like the peacemaker. He's like, you got to understand. Like she may say something, but she'll forget. It's her brain. Like this is brain cancer. So he's very mature like that, and just the calm guy, right? So he'll bring us all together. Like I remember last month we were in the gym, all of us were, because I have a home gym, and we all sat down, and it was Darius that said, like, yeah, listen to what mom's saying. Like sometimes like I'll try to say stuff and it doesn't come out the right way, and it's not a cop out. Some people have said to me, oh, she's just like that's just an excuse. It's not. Like literally I know what I want to say, but it doesn't always come out that way. So it's been a struggle, because now it's like he is like my caregiver, and he goes to meetings and stuff for people that are caregivers. But then you kind of lose that aspect, because it's like, then that's your title. You just become a caregiver, not my husband. I'm not your wife. When you look at that. So we had to kind of go into counseling for that, to kind of switch that, because that is a big deal. That's a big burden. People say, well, that's your spouse. Like you would do it for him, you would do it for her, kind of thing. But when you be someone's caregiver 24/7, it's a big deal. It really is. And it causes a lot of issues, right? And like you said, it does eventually bring you close together, because now we were never ones to talk about, like for me, especially, not so much my husband, but I've always been private. So it was hard for me to open up. And this is a whole new world for me, to open up and share my feelings of what's going on, what I've been through. And even I haven't even expressed and told so much more. There's so much more, right? So that's been a big challenge for me. But in that aspect, it brought us together in terms of opening up now, because we were both like, his mom was like that too. My, like I said, my dad died when I was 2 years old in a car accident, and my mom died in 2006, I think it was 2000. Yeah, it's been a long time. So I lost both my parents at a very young age, right? So my mother-in-law, she's like my mom, right? And it's good that she lives close to us, right? So we can see her more. But she's been very instrumental in my relationship of, if she thinks that my husband's a little bit out of line with me and has to remind me, she'll be like, she has brain cancer, like, come on. And she's very, like I said, very, very supportive of me. So we're learning. It's a learning curve. It's hard. I would not wish this on anybody, especially like being someone as a caregiver. It's hard, right? And like, he would never, he's like, I'm not going to put you in a home. Like a lot of people, that's the first thing they'll do. Right. But it's a trial, I'm going through all this stuff. But but we're managing, and we're listening to each other more.
Yeah.
So that's been a blessing there too, and trying to, fight this together.
It's amazing. And you talked about the support network, how important that is, and how much of a difference maker it is to help you. Listen, Steph, I can't say enough how inspired I have, and I'm a generally a positive guy and upbeat guy, and when I see what you bring and how you do it in such grace and in determination, I'm inspired constantly by you, Steph. I love your
Thank
journey.
you.
I love everything you're doing, and like I said, I'm back there cheering you on, man, cheering you away. Amazing. So I want to thank you for taking the time and sharing. And any sort of last thoughts that you want before we get out of here? That you want to share with folks? I mean, so much.
I just keep telling everyone. My biggest thing I tell everyone: don't allow anyone to determine your life expectancy. That's like the biggest thing, because when you have a terminal illness like this, and you hear all the different physicians, the scientists even say that you're not going to make this. This is the average life expectancy. And it's like anytime it doesn't matter what country you're in, if you look up glioblastoma, they'll tell you the average life expectancy is 9 to 14 months. Right? So I would say don't allow anyone, because I'm still here. It's been a struggle. It's hard. I've been through so much that I didn't even tell you yet. It's so much to go through. But you just have to believe. And that's my thing. Just believe. And I do. People ask me, why do I walk so much? Long walks. I listen to music, because, music's my favorite thing. But I also listen to podcasts too, when, you know what I mean? To keep me going and trying to figure out how much more time I have. Can I keep going? And then I had to kind of change that and just say one day at a time. So I just take one day at a time, grateful for every day that I wake up and every day that I go to sleep.
That's the key, having that appreciation for that daily journey. And we didn't even talk about the music and how how much a music lover you are, and how I'm sure impactful that's been, because there's such a soothing sort of release, I'm sure, for you when in terms of what it brings to you in your world.
Yeah, you know me, music, especially when it's impactful lyrics, right?
Yes, lyrics matter. Lyrics matter. I remember
lyrics matter. You remember? That was my. Remember, I even when I had my clothing.
Give Rich a shout out for me as well. All right.
I will. Yeah, I know. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, bye. Love you too. Stuff, right? Lyrics matter.
Awesome. Steph, thank you for this. It's such an appreciation. Love you. Keep going.
Love you too.
And man, all the best. Take care of yourself.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Back we are here on the podcast. Thanks you so much to Steph for being here. Like I said off the top, I had a wonderful time chatting with her. And Steph, it was great having you on the podcast. Your story is a powerful one. And it's really my true hope that our listeners walked away feeling inspired. Now, Steph has become a bit of an advocate for glioblastoma, and she did raise some really important points around the lack of support or funding for the necessary research to actually find a cure. However, there is an organization that you can read about, learn more about, donate money if you're so inclined. That's Brain Cancer Canada, a brand new foundation. And again, this would be a good opportunity if you are so inclined. Again, shout out Steph. I appreciate you coming through. And I also appreciate you as our listeners. Thank you for your ongoing support of the Audacious Living podcast. Like I said in the past, you guys have made a lot of fun. I appreciate all the support. And, much like Steph, I'm going to keep going as well. Be sure to visit bestaudaciouslife.com. That is our website. All our past episodes are there. And whatever content comes out about the podcast that is your home. That is your spot. So definitely head on over and check it out. You can even subscribe to the mailing list. And that way you're on top of any new content and any new notifications that come out. They will be sent directly to you. Well, that's it for me. This has been another edition of the Audacious Living podcast, a special bonus edition here on International Women's Day. Thank you all for taking the time, checking out the program. And until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stevenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.